Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never ever alone. And speaking of that, here on Invisible Condition, we get it. Okay, we understand that life can be tough sometimes. It can suck, right? Life sucks sometimes. Okay, I get it. The other, right, 7 brain surgeries in. I got you. The thing is, there's always hope. Always hope. There's always hope. Every single day, there's hope. There's still hope. So here's the thing: if you are at that spot where you're like, God, you know what? My hope is gone, man. I'm out. I got none left. Shoot me an email. Just literally all you got to do is shoot me an email, put hope in the subject line. I'll email you back my calendar link. We can chat. It's that big a deal. I want people if hope is lost for you, I want you to not stay there. So shoot me an email. We'll chat and we can see if we can get that back for you. Because there's no reason for anybody not to have that. So, all right. Now I'm going to tell you a couple things before we bring our guest on. And I can't wait for you to, our guest, I'm so excited about this. This is going to be so cool. You'll recognize him too, by the way. It's going to be fun, especially if you've been watching for a while. So first of all, let me just say thank you for everybody that's here. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, this show is going to be a blast. And you're going to be able to comment, of course, if you're watching on one of those platforms. Just throw a comment in there. If one of us says something that you're like, what? I've never heard that before. That's ridiculous. Or hey, right on, I agree, or whatever. If you have a comment, drop it in there in the chat, and we'll be able to go back and forth on there. So all right, here we go. I'm going to just point out a couple sponsors here, and then we'll get this show on the road. Our first one is our nonprofit side of the show, which is called Hydro with Hope, which is been around for a few years here. We are over the moon excited to help people that are dealing with hydrocephalus. Okay. Hydrocephalus is a condition I was born with, and it is crazy. It can be kind of a crazy condition. I mean, I'm 7 brain surgeries in, man. Talk about crazy. We have had side effects. We've had, 3-week stays in the hospital, side effects, surgeries because of surgeries. I mean, it's a crazy life. And so we wanted to be that boots on the ground. I want to help you, hug your neck, answer the questions, sit there with you while you're going through this kind of person. That's just who I am. And so that's why we created the nonprofit. And I want to get this book into your hands. If you're somebody that is either that you are somebody that is dealing with hydrocephalus, or somebody in your family or a friend, I want to get this to you. It's available on our website. If you want to pay for it, that will further our cause. Thank you very much. But also if you want to donate, that's what that link is. It's a donation link. So you can donate monthly, you can donate one time. We love you either way. Thank you in advance for that. And that will also enable us my wife and I love to go around the country and around the world to speak and tell our story and help other people with that boots on the ground mentality of just spending time with people and hanging out and making sure that they know that brain surgery is not the end. It's just the beginning. So, all right. The other thing that I wanted to point out real quick, and then we'll get to the guest here because I'm excited for you to meet him, is Network Referral Group. If you noticed at the beginning of the show, it says live from NRG Studios. NRG is the purest form of networking I've ever seen. It's online. It's 100% Zoom calls, 1-hour meetings, throughout the week. I have done a lot of networking over my years in business, and I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the crazy, the stupid, there's the unnecessary. Networking is not all created equal. NRG does it right, though. That's the thing. This is the purest form of networking. You show up, you ask for referrals that are relevant to what you need, and you get referrals that are relevant to what you need. And then you go build your business. They've honestly ruined me for all of the networking groups. I don't go to very many other networking groups because NRG's got it, man. And so if you are interested in finding that type of group, scan the QR code. Mike is the guy that runs NRG. Just tell him that you saw me on the show, and he'll get you squared away. So, all right, here we go. I am very excited. If you have been watching for a while, you saw this guy. His name's Dr. Tom Ingegno, and he was on the show originally in season 2, episode 37. It was February 6th, 2024. So it's, good Lord, it's been over 2 years since we got to do this more often. That was his last episode. So he is just, Dr. Tom or, he's a cool guy. So he's got like 25 years of integrative and functional medicine experience. He's helped countless people address chronic inflammation and circulation issues and immune dysregulation and other crazy health challenges. Acupuncture is a big part of his practice. He's been doing this a long time. He's an author, an educator, owns a clinic. He's done a former chairman of the Maryland State Board of Acupuncture. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff. This guy knows his stuff. So, and he's passionate about what he does, which is why I was very excited to have him back. He was very gracious to come back and hang out with us again. So let's bring him on. See what the heck he's got to say today. Who knows? Let's see what happens. You never know with Tom. So it'll be fun. Hey,
Jeff. You're too kind. Two, you made it sound like we haven't seen each other like 3 times this week. This is great, man. We really broed out this whole week.
Oh, I know. I know. We've seen each other 3 times, one on Zoom, and then I recorded with you this morning.
Yeah,
and here you are today. So
yeah, I mean, thank you for having me back.
Some kind of record, man. Yeah, it's good to have you back.
It's fun to hang out, and I think we even said this on our show. It's fun to have these meaningful conversations. I really look forward to this kind of stuff during the week, and I gotta give you a little old tip of the hat here, man. It's real nice that you created some space where some people can reach out if they feel like kind of they're at their end of the rope. I feel like one of the biggest things that happened here, and I'm going to say the US, but maybe globally, is we just don't take that time to check on each other as much as we used to. And a lot of it may be distraction of busy life, and we can enumerate millions of things that might be the cause of that. But when somebody's hurting, and to have that actual human component of, hey man, look, I don't know you, but I care.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And it may only be a 5-minute conversation or I'm just checking in, and you may not even be able to help, but just being there means something to people.
Exactly. This was kind of inspired. And I don't know why I haven't been doing this the whole time. It just hit me like we got to do this. This is important. I got to start doing this more intentionally.
Yeah.
It was inspired by somebody that's been on the show a couple times. Her name is Dr. Pauline Dillard, and she is absolutely amazing. We've known her since 2008, and she's just an incredible human being. She's a Christian clinical psychologist here in Colorado Springs, and she when I started having all these crazy surgeries, started in 2013, was the first of 6, that we've got to have fun with in the last 12, 13 years. And she was, my wife, Catherine, was freaked out. We went first 14 years of marriage with nothing, no trouble, no surgery, it was just normal married life, and then all of a sudden surgery, she's like, what do I do? Well, she started reaching out to people on the phone and like calling. She was like, I don't know what to do. I'm in surgery. I can't help her. So she's like, I'm just going to start calling people. Everybody says, let me know if you need something. I'm here to help, And so you start calling them. That's when rubber hits the road. And Pauline is the only person that she called that said, what hospital are you at? I'm on my way. And she just went there and she sat there and didn't say anything, because sometimes you say stupid stuff when you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
She just sat there and sat with her and just let her, vent or what, cry or talk or whatever they did while I was in surgery. But she was the only one, that's the kind of thing. And so that I've been thinking about that more recently. And that's why I do that at the beginning of the show, because she was the one that was like, she's the one that reached out. She's the one that answered the call. and actually showed up.
Wow.
So
You know, that's
yep.
amazing. And I might, with your permission, steal that from you guys.
Hey,
Cause
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
even if you can't physically be there, can you point somebody in the right direction? Can you
yep,
at least just, be on the phone and listen, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, I mean, phone, Zoom, I don't care. I'll do whatever.
However, yeah,
It's
yeah.
all good. But I mean, that's why I like to just send my calendar link and they can pick a time and whatever. And yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a big deal because because that was so meaningful to us. I
Mm,
feel like that's a pay it forward kind of thing. So
I get that.
yeah, so
I really like that.
yeah, that's awesome. I have no doubt that you would be another person that would do that. So that's awesome.
Ah,
I'm excited.
it's funny, and everyone's dealing with, so many spoons, I guess is the new term, right? You only have so many spoons, right? But
Right?
like, if there's a spoon around, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, spooning is a thing, right?
Yeah,
Spooning,
yeah,
yeah. How many spoons do you have for the day, right?
yeah.
So, well, let's dive in, man. I'm gonna ask you a question like I ask everybody else on the show because
Do
I
it.
like
Let's
I
go.
always like the answer. Um, and you've had times like this too, so it's not you're not nobody is without this. So on the
Yeah,
tough days, right?
yeah.
How do you still maintain hope?
Yeah, yeah, God, it's funny because I really feel like I've been wrestling with that quite a bit in the last few months, and yeah, I mean, everybody seems to have more than their fair share of problems now, right? I
Yeah.
I think for me, the one thing in the background, and I do have practices that I do daily. The biggest one has been, and I think Matt and I kind of geeked out on some of the tech when we were talking to you, but
A little
meditation
bit.
has been a cornerstone for me. And I don't care if I'm going to have the world's worst meditation. I'm still going to sit there and do that. There
Yeah.
might be tears in my eyes when I'm doing it.
Sure.
And I think I told you, I've been clawed by a cat several times that has to now be part of my meditation, which can also elicit some tears, but
Yeah.
also some distractions. But taking those few moments where, if nothing else, right, I'm trying to sit there quietly, but I know in that time I'm sitting there with my eyes closed, just concentrating on my breathing. All those problems are still going to be there when I reopen my eyes,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
they're going to probably come back with a vengeance. But in those few moments, I can convince myself that right now, right in this second, things are okay,
Yep.
right? House might be burning down around me, but in
Hopefully
those
not.
in those
Yeah.
few short breaths, I'm not that zen. So I'm pretty sure I would run if the house was on fire.
Yeah.
But within that, to be able to have those couple of breaths where things are just okay, to allow myself to recenter a little bit. I
Yep.
never get dead center, but within that, it's kept me going. And
Yeah.
man, I think I'm almost at 2,800 days on the nose that I have not missed a day of meditation.
What?
Yeah,
2,800 days. So what is
yeah.
that, 5 years and something?
It is. I'm working on 7 now, so it's
Is it
6
7
and
now?
something.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And, I've been joking that I've been trying to meditate, since 1994.
Oh, wow.
And, just in the last, uh, 6 and change years, it really stuck. Yeah, it's funny, years and years of my mentor telling me I should meditate. His qigong teacher saying, "Oh, I'm teaching you all these exercises, but the most important thing," he said it in broken English, which was very funny. You might be meditate. That's most important.
Yeah.
And it took me that long to actually sit down and go, no, this is going to stick now.
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
I joked with, I was talking to somebody in the mental health field, and I said, "Look, I meditate in the morning just in case I die that day, so I got one more in." You know? And
Wow.
and she
Okay.
goes, "That that is that I don't think I need to be concerned about that, but, like, that is a very weird way to look at it." And it's
mean,
it's just you know, I mean, if you're gonna go off on the best foot, you know. Uh,
I mean, I kind of have something like that too, man. I'm a baker, man. I'm a
yeah.
biker. I'm a cook. So I like on a side gig that I've had for a long time. I have a cookie business, and right, and so
Oh,
I'm
that's
I'm like a
great.
sweets guy. I love sweet. I love that kind of stuff, and uh, and so I've always said, life's uncertain. Eat dessert first. You
Yeah,
know, you never know if that
yeah.
plane's going down. What do you want? The taste of broccoli in your mouth, or the taste of a brownie? Right?
Well, yeah, you know,
Like
I
eat
an
dessert
old school
first.
song, "Enjoy yourself, it's later than you think."
Right? Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. So yeah, well, I love that because it's true. I mean, you get one shot at this. So
Yeah,
so let's
yeah.
make the most of
And
it.
look, man, I you can substitute meditation for prayer, you can substitute it for
Yeah.
exercise,
Yep.
a mindfulness practice, whatever works for you.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
committing to that, gives you a little bit of clarity.
yes. I mean that's my wife and I have gotten in the practice in the habit of going for a walk every night, right?
Yeah.
After we get done with our day, we just like we know there's always crap to do. There's always a to-do list. There's always stuff you got to do after your day, right? But after that last call, I close the laptop, we turn out the lights, and we go for a walk and like decompress for an hour,
Mm,
and then we come back and maybe we'll be working on stuff till 11 o'clock that night on the follow up and all that other stuff. But you take that time in between, and it makes so much more difference with the rest of the night.
absolutely.
So I totally get it. Yeah. Well, I think one of the things I want to just throw out there because of what you do. I mean, you address a lot of things that people are living with that are invisible. That's
Yeah.
kind of why I had to, come the first time, and that's why I love what you're doing because you're dealing with all that invisible stuff that a lot of people get told they're they're crazy for thinking they have,
Yeah.
that's going on,
Yeah.
right? And you just say, all right, what's going on? Let's see what we can do to address it. And and I love that because
Mm.
it's kind of the opposite of the medical world.
Well, I think
So,
and I think this is really where, well, I'll say East Asian medicine, but I'll lump in all traditional medicines, right? This concept of it's all in your head, I would say that East Asian medicine and a lot of traditional practices goes, "Who cares?" It's your ex
right?
like, it's your experience, right?
Yeah.
And if we have a system that is looking at the whole being, right? Yeah, and I used to say whole body, and I'm like, well, no, it's more than
It's
that, right? Yeah,
yeah.
and how's your mental health? How is your emotional health? How's your spiritual health? How's all of that, right? Like I'm not a preacher. I'm not going to be the one that's going to be able to solve the existential dread or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if we look at you as a whole person and we have a system that can operate with that, I don't care if you're making it up. If it's your experience,
Right. Well,
it's happening. And in most
yeah.
cases, I don't think anyone's making stuff up, right? No one
No, I mean,
wants an issue.
there's the hypochondriac out there every once in a while, but really, for the most part, I mean, like the woman that I was talking to you about on your show when we were recording earlier today,
Yeah.
Michelle, my co-host, who many of you have fallen in love with because she's just amazing and she's
Mhm.
got so many amazing insights. And she would say that most of the, if not all of the conditions like fibromyalgia and type 1 diabetes and chronic fatigue syndrome and POTS and all these mystery things that no doctor knows what to do with. She's like, look, all of those, if not all of those, have an emotional root to it. It's an
Mhm.
emotional response to a trauma that caused that most of the time. And so when people are coming to the realization that, oh crap, I've got this condition in my body, they don't realize it's emotionally caused. They don't realize that it was not physical, but they pursue it. They go to the doctor, which is
Mhm.
going to treat it physically with medication when really they should treat it emotionally, right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
about and that's what I love about what you do, because you look at all those invisible things and go, look, I'm not going to discount you for thinking that that's what's going on, because
Yeah.
if you're feeling it, it's going on, you know.
Yeah.
So let's dive in and see what the heck we can do to not have it continue going on, you know.
And it's
So
funny because there's in my head I'm getting that image of like somebody that's a conspiracy theorist and they got the strings all tied to different, but when somebody comes
yeah,
in and they have this laundry list of symptoms, that's really what we're trying to do. How do I put this into an organized thing that fits this person's being?
yeah,
And where do we start? And you said something really like kind of this emotional, this root cause is a big concept in East Asian medicine. So much so that we have several different versions of this story. This one's my favorite only because I really like this one practitioner, and a lot of the stuff he did throughout
okay,
history was pretty cool. His name was Ge Hong, and he was known as this famous physician. And somebody said, "Well, I heard you have brothers, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, I have two brothers. I have two older brothers." And he goes, "Well, what do they do?" And he goes, "They're physicians as well." And the next statement was, "Well, you must be the best because you're the famous one." And he goes, "No, no, my oldest is the best. He treats the disease before it manifests."
ooh,
Right?
yeah,
No, no, then it goes, "Well, you gotta be better than your middle brother." And he goes, "No, no, 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 no. My middle brother treats it at the first signs." And then the question was, "Well, if you're the third best in your family, why are you the famous one?" And he goes, "'Cause they see me putting in needles and giving herbs and doing surgeries and having them do all these therapies and, doing massage and having them do breathing exercises, and they think I'm doing all this crazy work, and that's why I'm most famous, 'cause I'm putting in the most effort." But the idea was, if we can fix our let's say psycho-spiritual self before that disease gets a foothold, it doesn't manifest, right? And
yeah,
that's a very bizarre concept, especially in the West, where we have this idea that like, well, my blood work said I was fine, so I'm good, right? That checkup was okay, right? Oh, I only got to lose a couple pounds. It's not that big of a deal. I only have to do this. It's not that big of a deal.
yeah.
Or I'll just pop this pill and the problem's gone, right? It
Symptom is
is
gone.
the symptom is gone, right? But
Yeah,
that underlying root cause, and sometimes that's very difficult to tease out. Sometimes we're not able to get that one out, right? There isn't that one thread that unwinds that sweater. But at
mm-mm.
the very least, if we start aiming in that direction, we're much better at managing the symptoms, right? I don't like saying curing because I think
No,
like, people heal, right? That's not on me. I roll my eyes when somebody refers to themselves as a healer. Because I
mhm.
do think that's an ego statement, right? Like, I just don't want to mess up. Like that's
Right,
really like, what do I want to do? I want to do the best I can for my patient, and try to stay out of my own way
there you
and
go.
out of the patient's way. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
after that, there's a lot that can be done when you look at this whole, and it's a beautiful thing. Specifically I'm looking through the lens of East Asian medicine, like I said, but those principles apply to Asian music. They apply to artwork. They apply to how the characters that we draw are
yeah,
and poetry, all of these things. So it's a system that we apply to medicine, but it's like a universal system over there.
yeah,
And
yeah.
martial arts, even, like I studied a martial art called Xingyi Chuans, right? This is mind form boxing, has five elements, same elements that we use in acupuncture, same elements we use in Chinese herbal medicine. It's the same seasons, it's colors, it's flavors, it's
Huh.
sounds, and it resonates throughout everything. And they're associated with different emotions and different mental aspects and different parts of the spirit, if you even want to go out there and tease
Yeah.
that apart. And it all is worn on people by how
Yeah.
they sound, how they talk, the words they're choosing, the
Yep.
symptoms they get, the signs they're giving off. I thank God my sense of smell isn't so great, because they smell patients and they say, "Oh, this is a rancid smell." Well, thank God I'm not smelling that. But yeah, the color under the eyes points to
Yeah.
different things, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
they're they're glossed over. but we as humans do it so natively that we forget that we're doing it, right? So
Yeah.
one example is like somebody said, "Oh, that's all made up." And I go, "Okay, so in the West we say I have butterflies in my stomach. Why do we do that? We're nervous, we're overthinking, we're worrying. Well, the spleen in the stomach in Chinese medicine, the emotional component is overthinking and worry, right? Oh, look, that's not a Chinese expression. That's an English expression that we use all
Mhm.
the time. Do you like what's another one? I don't have the heart to tell them. Well,
Yeah.
heart is joy or lack of joy, right? And
Uh-huh.
we're saying that that's something we say here in America,
Yeah.
but it's pointing the same way. There was a guy, and you might like this. This is more of like a business thing.
Okay.
De Buono wrote this book. It was
Okay.
called Six Hat Thinking, right? And the idea was this is how you problem solve. There's a different color hat. There's six of them,
Huh.
and each one of them has a different role. Now, this guy, all the research I said, and I think he was in psychology, but his book resonated with business people, right? They'd sit in this boardroom, and you'd have this role, you'd have this role, you'd have this role. Okay,
Okay.
Jeff, you're the guy with the black hat on. You tell me what I should be afraid of. Well, guess
Oh,
what? The black hat in Chinese medicine, the black color is associated with the kidneys. The kidneys oversee fear, right? Oh, that's interesting. Well, every hat except for the blue hat has the right element associated with the emotional component of that thought process. Now, the
hmm.
blue one I say is pure spirit. It's the one that oversees it all, right? When
Okay.
it's all correlated together, that's the one that's kind of running the meeting in that case.
Okay.
But I read this one article, or actually I saw it on a show called Brain Games. This guy's looking at
I've heard
how
of that.
brains
Was that on Netflix or something?
I think you can find it on Netflix now, or at least
I
on
remember
some
seeing
streaming
that. Yeah.
things. But I
Yeah.
think it might have been like back in the day when the History Channel and the Learning Channel actually showed you things
Yeah.
about history and things you could learn, rather than whatever they're showing now. But
Yeah.
within that, I went, wow, that's Chinese medicine. That isn't that isn't what you think it is. And then I had to go do this deep dive, and I actually was in a magazine. I wrote that article saying this guy didn't know this, but he basically described the emotional components of Chinese medicine. And it's so interesting to me that like, and I don't do it as much anymore now, but like when I first graduated, you'd watch people walk down the street and you can kind of tell what was going on with them, not just physically,
Yeah.
right? It's not just a limp. Oh, that knee's messed up, but how they carry themselves and
Yep.
words they used.
Yeah.
It's very funny. Oh, this person has this pattern, right? And maybe they have these signs and symptoms.
We even had to we were talking with our daughter, our 17-year-old, the only one left at home. Our older two are out of the house doing their thing. So our youngest, our 17-year-old, she was at the house, she was home, it was after dinner, we were hanging out, and she said this expression I can't even remember what it was. I can't even remember what it was, but it was something that the kids are saying nowadays, and it's just this rolls off the tongue kind of expression.
Mhm.
It makes no sense to me. But there was a word in there. God, what was the word? But it was something associated with harm or death or something like that. It wasn't intentional. It was just a word that the kids use,
Mhm.
like slaying it or whatever,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. And she said it, and instantly both my wife looked at each other. We're like, oh, nope, nope, that's not no. We're like, we need to invite you to pick another word. You
I
need to
gotcha.
we need to reprogram that saying, because words have power.
Mhm,
Words
mhm.
have meaning. Things that you will soak that into your body, and it'll start to show, if you keep using that word, same kind of thing,
Yep.
right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's you got to be careful, the
yeah.
tongue by the tongue. Have you ever read that book? That's a it's a
No,
it's a
but
thing.
that sounds
Hung
like a great title, though.
Hung by the tongue. It's a tiny, thin, skinny little book, only about this big, and it's about 100 years old, but it's really good. And that's exactly what it's about. Careful what you say, because it'll
It'll
bring
happen.
about,
Yeah, yeah.
all the things. So yeah, it's crazy. But well, I don't know, man. What I think the last time trying to think what I don't remember what we were talking about last time, but this time I think what we were going for when we were talking about, oh,
Yeah.
what we want to do is I think you deal with so many people with like
Mhm.
invisible stuff like autoimmune and all the like when people come in,
Yeah.
how do you approach that? Like when
Well,
somebody
that
comes to you.
specific condition, like that group of conditions, let's say, I'm fortunate enough to have a few functional medicine practitioners that I think are just like top of their game. And unfortunately, when I have that box that says referred by, if I
Yeah.
see one of their names, I got to take a deep breath because I'm like, they don't know what's wrong with you. Like, and you're expecting me to do something. But within it, I know that it's not going to be a simple intake, right? It's not, hey
Yeah.
man, I pulled my back at the gym. Um,
Right.
and it gets to the point now where I don't have the crystal ball to say why is this happening? Why does this seem to be more prevalent? And I have theories about like, oh, what we've done to ourselves, how we removed ourselves from natural order, right? I'm not ready to give up my cell phone and go back to living in the woods, but
No, no.
there is a lot of things that we do as part of modern society. And good news, bad news, who knows? I'm not hanging a weight on it either
Yeah.
way, but we're so out of balance that when we have an underlying chronic infection like Lyme disease or mold or Epstein-Barr or God, the list
Oh
goes
yeah.
on and on. And I was joking where somebody will say, "Oh, I've got Lyme," and I go, "Oh, do you have POTS? Do you have IBS? Do you have, yeah, do you have some
How
eczema? Do
did
you
you
have,
know?
yeah, And they're like, "Oh, you're a genius," and it's like, no, there's 4 other people laying in the other rooms. Like, maybe your thing was you got Lyme disease.
Yeah.
Maybe this person had, a moldy basement in their house. But, when one of these things gets a foothold, it opens the door for everything else. And,
Yeah. You
I
can.
said I don't like the word heal. These people are dealing with something chronic, and they're looking for some relief, right? I can't promise them what I'm going to get them, but
Right.
hopefully, if we look at it through the lens we've been talking about as a whole person,
Yeah.
and sometimes they'll go through all their symptoms and they'll say something like, I'm just so scared no one's gonna be able to help me. Or I don't have the heart to go on, right? And those
Mm.
phrases now point to things as much as the signs and symptoms, and the treatment shifts, right? And
Yeah.
hopefully in that moment we can kind of balance that out a little bit and give them a little bit to go to the next stage, right? And these patients
Right.
are so sensitive sometimes where like I could throw the kitchen sink at them one week and they go, I didn't notice anything. And then like, hey, I'm just gonna add one more needle. And the next week they're like, I don't know what you did to me, man.
Yeah.
But you blew the doors off of me. I couldn't move for 3 days. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Well,
it,
yeah. Sorry, go
yeah.
ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no. It's a weird thing when we're dealing with the immune system.
Yeah. It
Right? The
is.
goal is not just to crank, the heat all the way up and burn everything out. The goal is, because you can do that, right?
Not always, no. Yeah.
Especially with things like Lyme disease, they get what's called a Herxheimer reaction, right? And they call it
Yeah.
herxing. People in with that are suffering from that in the support communities go, "Oh yeah, I herxed really bad the other day. I tried this new herbal thing." Right? And yes, you killed a bunch of this bacteria, this spirochete in the case of limes, but Lyme disease, but it dumps all its guts into your bloodstream. And then
Mhm.
your body has this toxic response to it, and you just feel horrible, right? And that can happen. Like I said, sometimes it's a hair difference, right? I did that one more needle. I didn't stimulate it hard, and oh my
Yeah.
god, I was in such horrible pain for 3 days. Oh my god, I couldn't get out of the bathroom. I spiked a fever. You start seeing it all. And even that,
Yeah.
the reaction to the treatment kind of informs the next diagnosis. Like, "Oh, you know what? There's more there. There's more there." And it's an interesting thing. The longer I've been doing this, the less likely I am to have just a simple back pain patient that day.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, but so here's a question for you that you said something that sparked this in my brain.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you so do you focus what do you focus more on? Like some people are so laser focused on we have to get to the cause. We have to figure out why, and all this stuff. And is that, is that always ultimately the most important thing? Do you have to find the root to be able to move forward and fix it, or is it
There
more
there is
important
there is a
to
balancing act here,
okay,
right?
'cause I've
So
seen both
one,
sides, right? They go down this rabbit hole with both of them. Like, we have to figure out why, and then some people are like, "No, we don't care about why. We never look back. We always look forward. We're gonna fix it," and
I
I
I
feel like
had
there's
this
gotta
I
be a
had this
balancing act
discussion the other day with actually a social worker about like, and his theory was, I'm worried about where you are now, right? I can't change that thing that happened in the past. Now for us, it's a little bit of like I said, a balancing act. So if
there. Mhm.
somebody's coming in with something very acute, we know we have to address something right then and there, right?
Yep.
Even if it's not going to go away, can I turn that knob down a little so we can look at you as a sum of all of this?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then other times they're like, look, I'm pretty good this week. Let's dig.
Okay.
Right? And we can say like I like the book Dirty Genes. I don't think that's a complete picture. I don't think it's just 5 genes, but like a lot of people don't have these detox pathways working the way that they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we start to see chronic infections because our body isn't allowing us to clear this ourselves. Um Now, am I
Yeah.
gonna be able to flip a switch and make everything happy like that? No, I don't think we have an understanding of epigenetics or genetics at that level where we can do that at will yet. Maybe someday, maybe in our lifetime. I don't know. But
Yeah.
is that the underlying thing too? Or is it this emotional thing that happened when you were a child that set this epigenetic trigger off that now I can't detox? So it's nice to muse about, and it would be great if we could figure that out for everybody. But if we're improving the person's life
Mhm.
and they're making progress, even and progress, you'll see those charts. Progress isn't this, 45-degree angle going towards the
Right.
goal. It's this highs and lows
Yeah.
and ups and downs and
Yeah.
and in the same way, I don't think you can blame the teacher if the kid's not doing good because at home where they're at most of the time, it's horrible. Um, People can't come in to see me for 1 hour a week and expect everything to be gone when most of the time their health and wellness comes from what they're doing in those hours that they're not there the rest of the week, the
Yeah.
days that they're not there the rest of the week. So a lot of what we have to do,
Mm.
especially with these chronic illness patients, is education, it's
Yeah.
support. And unfortunately, I don't know how to look at this. By the time they've gotten to me, they've gone down so many different rabbit holes. They have a support network. They've talked to somebody that acupuncture has helped. They've talked to somebody, or I'll mention something and they'll let me know up and down whether or not it worked for them, how they did it, what modifications they made for them. And I don't think I'm an expert in any of these chronic illnesses. I think the patients are by the time they get to me.
Oh, yeah,
So,
for
the
sure.
biggest part is like, can I shut my own mouth for long enough to be able to hear what they're saying? Sometimes you fail because I'm like, oh, I know that, and no, no, you don't. This person lives with it right there. You might have this overview of how it's supposed to be, but that patient will let you know exactly what's going on with them and how it impacts them differently than
Man,
the last 10 people you saw with the same diagnosis.
I am so happy to hear you say that because that's half the I feel like that's half the
Mhm.
at least half the problem in the tradition in the, I almost said traditional, conventional medical world.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I swear the classic example for me in my life was my entire junior and senior year. I had nonstop headaches because the shunt that they had put in at what was it? 6 months old, you know, was starting to pull away from my
Ooh,
pull out of the place where it was, and it starts sliding down my skull,
yeah.
and it hurt, man. And it was constant pain for my junior senior year of high school. And every time I went back to the neurosurgeon and said, I know what this is. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
I can feel it. And they say, no, 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 that's not it. Let's do a CAT scan. See, that's not what's happening. Well,
Yeah.
after they compared all of them over 2 years, they said, oh, look at that. Look what happened. Yeah, that's what was happening. I was like, you,
I literally told you.
you could have, did you not think I knew? Like, I told you this 2 years ago. And so, yeah, so listening to people have experience with this. People are experts in what they come. If they
Mhm.
come into you, they've already lived with this long enough and tried enough to fix it that they are the expert.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and sometimes there's this little internal monologue where it's like, well, they're here to see me. I gotta be the one that tells them what's going on, right? And
yeah,
that does not work. That
no.
does not work.
Mm-mm.
And it's funny. I as you were talking, I'm thinking of a lesson my mentor kind of told me, right? And there's a lot of systems, right? In China, there's an expression, don't spank a crying baby. So if you're
Yeah.
coming in for headaches, I'm not going to throw a bunch of needles in your head, right? That's
Yeah.
right. And there's a debate about whether or not we ever go to the head, even if, right? But one of the things he said is, even if you're not going to go and jump right on that area, make sure you put a hand on it. Jeff, you told me I'm feeling it right here. I'm going to touch back of your head right there to let you know that I understand what you told me.
Yes.
And then I'm going to go do the thing down the arm because that's where we're going to start anyway.
Well,
But at
or
least letting
yeah.
you know, I heard you, I understand you, you're not nuts. This is how my system does this.
Oh, yep.
And look, if that doesn't work, we've got as many years as acupuncture's been in existence, there's probably that many systems.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have a lot of different tricks in the bag, and if this isn't working, we can pivot and go this way, right? So in very much like studying martial arts, right? And
Mm.
I always reference Bruce Lee in this, right? Everyone goes, "Oh, Bruce Lee did Jeet Kune Do. That's no style, right? That's no system." And you're like, dude, he studied with Ip Man, the number one Wing Chun practitioner in all of history.
Yeah.
So yes, he mastered. We can debate whether or not he mastered that style. In one of the Ip Man movies, Bruce Lee comes back to him and he goes, "Are you still my teacher?" And Ip Man says, "Are you still my student?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it very like kind of threw it back at him. But Bruce Lee studied all these systems before he let go. So in acupuncture, I always tell new students, whatever school you went to, whatever system resonates with you, learn that to the best of your ability, and then start learning other systems, not to completely revolutionize your system, but so you can pick up new tools and understand the framework from which that tool came from.
Yeah.
Because you can't just start going like, oh, I'm going to do a little of this and a little of that, right? It doesn't look good as another acupuncturist, but it doesn't work as well.
No. Well, that's that jack of all trades, master of none
Yeah.
thing we were talking
Yeah.
about before, right? It's like if you're gonna, yeah, you go dipping your finger in too many of those things, and you're just gonna look like
It
you
and
can't
it
decide,
it
you know?
doesn't, in my head, Matt, my co-host on the show, has
Yeah.
2 fine art degrees. He's very creative.
Nice.
And I believe, especially in East Asian medicine, you have that room for
Mhm.
creativity too. But when you look at somebody and let's say the point selection is a canvas. If I look at somebody else's and I'm like, "Ooh." Yeah, it's like maybe they're extremely gifted. But I'm going like, "Oh, that doesn't look like it has a flow."
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, the flow of the treatment is as important as the points you chose or the theory you went with.
Mhm.
Right now I have an intern and I have a couple more coming in.
Nice.
And she's asking me the right questions. What point was that? And I go, oh, that I would call this. I know that's not the right location. Why? Because that one was more sore, or that one, when I pressed, did you see the patient make a face? Yeah, that one's more active. Yeah, and it's those little things that become the nuance that the World Health Organization to try and teach this stuff is madness, right? My first
Yeah.
semester, my first teacher said, "Just write this down, look at it in a year, maybe it'll make sense then." Right? It's very circular logic. There's no
Yeah.
easy on ramp. Uh,
Jeez.
and then I go, "So you learn the standardized location of these points because there's no other way to teach you and be able to test you on it if we don't have it in a standard location. The problem is if the energy's off, if the patient's out of balance, it's not where it's supposed to be anyway." And at least in Western medicine, they have this great expression: the patients don't read the textbooks. So here's where it's
True.
supposed to be. Why is it not there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the patients don't read the textbooks.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I, you know, I okay. I have this. I'm curious about something. Something else just popped into my head. And we've already talked about this. You're gonna have Michelle on your show to
Yeah,
dive into this.
I'm
So I
very
want to.
excited because I when you mentioned her, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many similarities.
So I definitely want to. I don't want to spoil the story here, but I am curious. She loves to. So her what now? I only know enough to be dangerous when it comes to what she does.
That's the
So I'm
best
not
way to
the-
be.
I'm not the expert. But but she works a lot. She talks a lot about the sympathetic nervous system
Mhm,
versus the
mhm.
parasympathetic nervous
Yeah,
system, right?
yeah.
So and then she also talks about the fact that your body is amazing, and it can regenerate most of what every single cell in your body is brand new after a certain amount of time,
7
right? So
years.
it's right. So if your body is brand new after that amount of time, so why do people have chronic lifelong conditions?
Well, I think this is if something is injured
They keep
and
re-injuring it, right?
it's not it can't heal the same way. So those cells may be renewed, but they're put together in this pattern of the injury, right? And we're talking emotional injury, these kind of things. And I
Yeah.
and I love that she's starting with the sympathetic, the autonomic nervous system right there,
Yeah.
because when we look at acupuncture
Mhm.
from a modern lens, the first shift after about 10 or 15 minutes with those needles in, out of fight or flight into rest and digest, right?
Yes.
And
Nice.
it's funny, classically, they say where there is flow, there is no pain. Where there is pain, there is no flow, right?
Oh,
And we can substitute pain for emotional, psychological, whatever else. It doesn't have to
right.
be physical pain. But they say our main goal is to place those needles and restore that flow. Now, you say that to most Westerners, their eyes glaze over and they go, "Oh, this guy's a nut job. He's talking about
Yeah.
energy and this and that." But when you frame it in, hey, we can measure these physiological changes that happen during an acupuncture treatment. And there's a ton. And I think the whole channel and chi system was a super eloquent, beautiful way of describing all of these observed changes before we had microscopes, before we knew the
Yeah.
biochemistry, and who knows, we might have had all of this at one point. We just forgot it.
Yeah.
That's a different rabbit
That's a whole
hole.
nother story.
We'll
Yeah.
we'll get some tinfoil hats on. We'll go deep. Uh, but
Bring it on.
within that, I to be able to observe all of these changes and say something must have happened. We had a lesson where they called acupuncture or East Asian medicine as a whole a black box experiment. We
Oh.
do something, we observe a change. What happened in that black box to make that change happen? Right now, when we go back and we look at and we say, oh, if we get you out of fight or flight and we put you into rest and digest, what happens? Your blood vessels open up. Well, now you're getting more blood flow. You're flushing out tissue that wasn't getting good circulation. So
Yeah.
whether there was metabolic waste or things like cytokines, inflammatory markers, in that tissue, that gets flushed out. Well, that blood that's circulating better, what does it do? It goes to the lungs. It's picking up more oxygen. It's off-gassing more CO2. It's going to the gut. It's picking up more nutrients. Well, now I have better quality blood circulating through my body. Well, what does it do? It hits those areas that need attention and drops off that nutrient, drops off that oxygen,
Yeah.
flushes out that tissue. Great. Well, what does that do? Sends it back to the core of the body for processing like it's supposed to. Well, now I'm breathing deeper and slower. I'm getting more blood circulation. The blood's better quality. My nerve impulses are calming down because my sympathetic nervous system is down regulated and my body knows I'm safe. Well, now my brain starts making deep sleep meditation brainwaves. Wow, what is that doing? That's allowing me to go deeper into the rest and digest. Oh, wow, my body is now balancing out serotonin and dopamine levels. Well, that's anxiety and depression in a nutshell, right? I'm oversimplifying there,
Yep.
but
No, we yeah.
you want this nice little balance between the two, not too much of one, not too much of the other. We know we're making oxytocin. Well, oxytocin is released as a bonding chemical.
Right.
I'm going to enjoy being around other people. That sense of community comes back up. And this cool one that we didn't know about until the 90s, we talk about this one a lot, is the endocannabinoid system.
Yep.
We know that we have these receptors. Why do people like marijuana so much? We have receptors in our brain that light up. Now, you don't just have to smoke weed to do this.
No.
It does it
Right.
through exercise, chocolate, acupuncture lights this up. And the coolest thing about this one compound, they call it anandamide. Ananda is Sanskrit for bliss. This is the bliss molecule.
Nice.
And this happens with Qigong. This happens with meditation. This happens with massage. This happens with a lot of body works, craniosacral.
Yeah.
But we're lighting that up. It's this floaty feeling that you get after getting a good treatment.
Nice.
And that tells your body, hey, everything's loose, everything's okay. And when we're in that default repair mode is what I'll call it.
Yep.
That's when the jazz happens. That's when all the magic
Yeah.
happens, right? That's where those weird things happen where it's like, well, I didn't specifically treat that, but you had improvement there. And I love that. And that does not take away from the 12 channels and
No.
points. And,
Yeah.
and it's just a modern way of describing the same thing. It's just a different language.
I love it. Yeah. Man, I wish we had another hour.
We're going to do this again. You know, one of us is going to be on the other show.
We're totally going to do this again. We're going to, between
we might be on Frank's again. Who knows?
Oh, we'll definitely be on Frank's again. Count on that. We'll definitely be on Frank about health again. Man, I love this. I love talking to you on here, man. This is so fun. But unfortunately we have like a minute left. So
let's wrap it up. Bring it home, man.
But yeah, what do you if you were to encapsulate? By the way, this QR code. Maybe that's the last minute. Tell people what the heck this QR code.
So right, we decided on irreverenthealth.com, beautifully displayed on the screen as well. So I do a podcast with my buddy Matt. Jeff has just done his second appearance on it. And we get weird there. Yeah, we occasionally talk about acupuncture, but we want to look at health as the sum of everything we do. Let's diet became here's what I'm going on rather than the sum of everything we eat. Health really needs to be the sum of everything we do. Yeah. Is it things you enjoy? Right? There's value in that. What are we doing to recover? What do we think about spirituality? What about other people that have had near-death experiences? Is that health? Well, it kind of can be. And we're trying to look at, we'll talk to PhDs who have done really in-depth studies, and we'll talk to people who have had really out there experiences because we think it adds to the sum total of health.
I love it. It is awesome. Guys, seriously, go to this website. Check it out. Listen to your heart's content. They've got some amazing stuff out there. And it was really fun being on there a couple of years ago. And it was really fun being on there this time. So I can't wait to go on again. And we'll see where it goes, man. Maybe we'll get those tin hats out. And after all, who knows? But Tom, thanks for being here.
Oh, man. Jeff, always anytime, man. It's always so much fun talking to you.
Always a pleasure. I appreciate what you're doing. So keep up the good work, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right.
All right. Awesome. Holy smokes. I'm just going to leave that there because y'all should just scan the QR code and check out his show. So, all right, join us. We're out of time, man. I didn't realize what the time said. Thank you for being here, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. Glad you're here and that you are making this show what it is and growing with us. Thank you. Join us for our next episode, which will be Tuesday, May 26th. Till then, have an amazing day and we'll see you soon.